Parents of horrible children. Where did it all go wrong? My brother Dickweed's a drug addict and criminal. I know pretty much where it went wrong. At every turn, my mother would cover for him. If Dickweed missed school, it's okay. Mother'd go in and smooth it out. If he cut up a bunch of decorations, it's fine. It's fine. We'll pay, officer. No need to charge us. When he stole a car and totaled it, she blamed everyone but him and got him a lawyer to convince them to drop the charges. Same deal with his first drug offense. Get him a lawyer. Convince the judge to give him probation for 2 years. I have seen her bail him out, talk him out, and connive him out of more legal trouble than anyone I have ever known. He is completely arrogant about his choices in life. If you challenge him, you're in butthole. Talking sense to him is impossible because in the echo chamber of his head, the only person who matters is himself. And why not? All through his life, hasn't his mother been there to shore him up and fish him out? My younger brother, 15, is going through this. Dad won't discipline him. He is always in trouble. No consequences ever. What should I do? I have 2 kids. The oldest, 8 years old female, is absolutely terrible. The youngest, 6 years old male, is amazing. I have no idea what happened. I've been a stay-at-home mom for both of them their entire lives. Last year, my daughter began acting out. It started with tantrums. It has now elevated to name calling, hitting, and throwing. Her test scores in school are suffering this year, and I'm not sure she'll make it out of 2nd grade. Every day, I pick them up from school, we come home, and within minutes it starts. Something will trigger her, and I feel like there's nothing I can do. Sitting in timeout doesn't work. Today, she sat in timeout for 3 hours straight. This started out as a 10-minute punishment. I'm at my wit's end. I've taken toys away, privileges away, everything I can think of, and it's getting to the point where my son is suffering because of her. If she acts up, we don't go out. So to answer your question, I have no idea where it went wrong. I don't feel like my husband and I have raised the youngest any differently, and it wasn't always like this. I have horrible siblings, felons, drug addicts. I'm the only person in my family who has figured out that my mom is a big-time narcissist. My brothers were the classic bad kids in school and graduated to drugs and jail and alcoholism. I was somewhat the opposite as a kid behavior-wise, perfectionistic, and now I am just intractably codependent and subconsciously self-destructive. A narcissistic mother uses her children to feed her narcissism in all kinds of ways. The damage from this is permanent. I guess what I'm saying is that sometimes this crap is way more complicated than it looks in the grocery store. I have been longing to tell these stories on Reddit. I worked as an au pair, live-in nanny sort of deal, for a German family for about 10 months last year. The parents had to travel a lot for work, which I knew going into it, though I was told it was not that frequent or for that long. Biggest lie they told me. They have 3 children, a 17-year-old boy, a 15-year-old boy, and an 11-year-old girl. I basically did everything for these kids. I made their breakfasts, their school lunches, their dinners, did all their laundry, cleaned their rooms, made their beds, helped them with homework, hung out with them, everything, including the parents' cleaning and laundry, which I was not supposed to do. Not a big deal. I don't mind housework and I love cooking, but holy frick, the girl was the worst child I ever experienced in my life, and I had a frick ton of experience working with kids, especially kids from poor, rough backgrounds. This girl was incredibly spoiled by her father, like any little girl, and her mother was not usually around. One evening we were playing Rummikub and we all beat her, myself, her brothers, and her dad. She threw a freaking fit, literally flipped the table, screaming and sobbing, and when her older brother told her to calm down she freaking lunged at him, grabbed his leg, and bit him and tore off flesh. She freaking tore flesh from his calf. Then her father started yelling at her, so she bit him on the arm until he bled. He started screaming at her, at which point she started to sob, and then he comforted her, told her it was okay, and asked if she wanted ice cream. Ice cream? Nope. If she was my child, or I had authority at that moment, she'd be freaking done. Another time I was helping my host mother put away the Christmas decorations. The daughter was in a crappy mood as usual, and was sitting on the stairs to the basement. They live in a very beautiful modern home. and the stairs are made of concrete and steel. I am carrying a box of Christmas stuff. This demon child stretches out her leg and trips me down the stairs. Luckily I caught myself before I fell, but if I had fallen I could have seriously been injured. The mother refused to believe that her daughter did that to me and yelled at me for being clumsy and dropping the box. There were also just the usual temper tantrums. Anything would set her off. She'd have friends over and be mad that they got a bigger cookie and start throwing crap all over the house, throw herself on the floor, and just scream. She was horrible. A side note, the 2 youngest kids drank hot chocolate out of baby bottles in the morning. Legit baby bottles. Ugh. I have more stories about how the parents abused the crap out of me, but that is for another place and time. Jesus Christos. Die klein Schießerkopfen. If you need help dealing with them, there's this guy Dexter I know. Speaking for my pay teacher, he's said that he has just straight up told parents that their kids are butthole, and when we asked for an example, once he'd literally told a parent, your kid is going to fail pay and possibly 7th grade if he keeps his act up. Parent proceeds to be, pay teacher responds with, your kid acts a lot like you. So you could say that it went wrong from the start. As a babysitter for some really crappy children, do not let them walk all over you. Assert your dominance. Like with dogs, little purse dogs get really cocky because they can jump up on their owners and basically do whatever the heck they want, while bigger dogs have to stay off the couch and not jump on people or bark all the time. But the thing is, little kids don't stay little. Little kids, like little dogs, assume they have power because they are allowed to do more of what they want, so they continue to act spoiled and immature. Then, as they grow up, they get harder and harder to control because the kid gets bigger and stronger and faster and louder. Basically, make limits and rules clear from an early age. Small kids shouldn't be allowed to misbehave just because they're young and don't know better. Teach them better, or they will walk all over you. We give them too many chances to do what they're told. We get too tired, overwhelmed, and don't enforce punishments as often as we should. Lack of consistency pretty much sums it up. We're working hard on changing though. They're young enough that it will be alright. Ages 5, 3, 1. Past problem child here. Compared to a few of the things I read, my shittiness was a cakewalk. But here goes. For the longest time my mom thought I would turn out to be an axe murderer. I'm not joking. By 8 I was violent, pushy, and generally hard to control. That's not to say I was horrible on my own. I was being abused by my father, drunken beatings, threatening to kill me. Mom or younger sis if I told anyone he was hurting me. Had a gun in my face when I was 5, so I was screwed up. For those wondering, yes, the signs were there. However, when younger I was extremely active. I climbed and fell out of trees, jumped off swings, monkey bars, and did the normal hyperactive child thing. Well, fast forward to 10. I start eating as a coping mechanism. I was depressed and wanted to die. Tried to kill myself at 12. So life sucked. We come 13 and everything starts to change. I was still a violent little crap. Would beat up my younger sister, who weighed less than half my weight. What changed, however, was that my father wasn't satisfied just beating me anymore. He raped my mom. To those that would say that isn't possible, yes it is. If someone is screaming at you telling you that you are hurting them, then it is wrong, and you should stop. Well, daddy dearest didn't, and mom needed surgery. I still have nightmares about that, even though it has been 9 years. When I was 14 she got a restraining order. It was only 1 month after it happened. Mom had planned it out, and when he went away for a weekend to a Christian retreat, we packed up and got the frick out. Fast forward another 2 years. I'm 16 and it's Christmas Eve. I hated Christmas with a passion. Still very much dislike it, because that's when you know what happened, and had been a little bee to my mom that day. I come to find out the next day that for the first time in my life, all 16 years of it, I had made my mom cry. That was the turning point. I couldn't forgive myself. Still can't. I changed my whole life because of that. I became a pacifist, started studying more in school, got better grades, and got a full ride to a community college. I have been out of that abusive situation for 8 years now, and am a completely different person. In that time I went from seeming like I was going to become a murderer to getting a B average in college. Not to mention all the free ride I'm getting. Though considering tuition for me is only $2,000, that isn't saying much. LMAO. He went to a Christian retreat after that. The hypocrisy of some people is staggering. I abuse my child and rape my wife, but I am a good Christian and Jesus loves me. It's a simple thing. Sleep, or lack of it. You don't get any. Your partner doesn't get any. The goddamn kids never sleep. They make so much noise the neighbors don't sleep. My neighbors call the cops cause of the noise, and so the cops don't sleep. This pisses me off. So I have to go out and grab a quick bite. McDonald's, Starbucks and Taco Bell don't sleep. I come home and have to vent. Writing worthless crap like this on Reddit. Now everyone that reads Reddit can't sleep. The whole world is freaking peer to me and my kids cause no one gets any sleep. Seriously, if we all just slept a little longer, we'd get along so much better. I think most of my worst parenting patterns have exhaustion as a factor. As someone who used to deal with lots of kids on a daily basis, taught kids from different ages, my observation was that children who were spoken to with respect by their parents were much more likely to return that respect. Treating children like children encourages it. All of my best students had mothers who, when I presented a behavioral issue, would simply sit the kid down and logically explain it to them. Parents who yell, say because I said so, and otherwise treat kids with less respect tend to get bad kids. However, because I wasn't with them 24 hours a day, I always had a feeling that, just maybe, the evil little bastards are the ones who drove their formerly decent parents over the edge and caused the cycle to begin with. My kid was pretty difficult as a toddler, but from about age 5 to 10 she stayed out of trouble and was actually incredibly well mannered and charming. As a teenager she was incurably angry, and though we tried everything and she went through several rehabs, it would take me like 4 hours to write out everything I went through with her. She is an addict as an adult and she has done the most horrible things, including to her family. We all tried very hard to be good role models and teach her good morals and whatnot, but we failed miserably. Currently she's sober again. Just heard she's in a halfway house in Central Texas and was glad to hear she was alive and safe. She's 23 now. A lot of the kids she grew up with who were horrible brats at 7, 8, 9, 10 grew out of it and are leading productive, healthy lives now. I think childhood and adolescence are both very confusing and scary times, and most of us do things in those eras that our fully formed adult selves would never do. I know this doesn't answer the question specifically, but I thought it might be relevant. I think most kids have their bad moments. So maybe you just witnessed one of those? I have small kids and they are usually quite good, but when they are really hungry or tired they can act terrible. I try not to let them get to that point, but I am not perfect and sometimes I forget to fuel them up before going out somewhere. TLDR. A hungry or tired child can be a little monster. I believe in temperament, obviously. It's clear to anyone who's ever met kids that they can be born determined, stubborn, not fond of change, etc. I don't believe any of these things make a kid bad. They make him respond better or worse to a given parenting style. They make you stretch yourself, because he's different from you. I think the number of kids who are actually born so damaged as to be unable to lead a productive life is minuscule. This includes things like child onset schizophrenia and psychopathy, although I suspect psychopathy it's a bit less cut and dried and biological than we like to think. I feel incredibly lucky. My daughter, who turns 5 tomorrow, is an angel. Even going through the separation of her parents at a young age, consistent uncertainties, and the constant need to adapt to new situations, she has been incredible. Of course she's not absolutely perfect. She cries sometimes when she doesn't get her way or when she's sad about something. That's a fact of childhood and learning though, I suppose. I'm in no way saying that I'm some kind of perfect parent, but I will say that what we've done has worked really well for her first 5 years. I often wonder how much of a child's mood is upbringing and how much is inherent. Before I was a parent, I often immediately judged kids as being spoiled brats. Granted, that was probably wrong of me, but I often see kids getting their way after enough whining, which of course reinforces the belief that if I cry enough, I'll get my way. My ex and I talked a lot about how we would raise a child if we had one prior to my daughter being born, and sticking to that has avoided the consistent outbursts that I see many parents going through. If there is anything I could say to future parents, while noting that every child is different and it's not an end-all solution, I'd say the following. This is just what worked for us, and I think any child can change habits. 1. Explain everything, because there's not an answer. People complain a lot about their child just going off and doing things. I'm not saying nix self-discovery, but I am saying that if they ask a question, give them an actual answer. You want them to always feel comfortable coming to you and to know they'll actually have things explained. It works a lot. 2. Don't yell. I never thought I would say that, but it's true. They can sense tone, and honestly yelling just teaches them that it's a good way to react. My daughter has gotten a swat on the butt twice in her life, because it has never been necessary otherwise. When she hears my tone switched to upset or bothered, her face instantly shows that recognition and she knows something she did was wrong. 3. The instant reaction shouldn't be to swat your kid. Again, I'm not one of those don't lay a finger on your kids types. I was raised with severe butt beatings when I screwed up. It worked. I needed it. And with the kind of kid I deserved it. When I see parents that have a kid in their shopping cart that won't sit down and they immediately smack the kid, I cringe. Save that for when it's really warranted. Simply not wanting to do something isn't a reason. Hitting someone? That's a reason. I think the majority, though not all of people don't realize that they have bad kids. If anyone comments about how ill-behaved their kids are, it results in that defensive OMFG don't tell me how to parent BS. Typically followed with this is how I was raised and it worked out fine. See? That logic needs no analysis. LOL. I don't think my son is horrible, but he could fit into a difficult child definition. To clarify, he does get in trouble frequently in school, has trouble doing what he's told versus what he thinks he should do, and being argumentative with me and teachers. I'm a very caring and involved parent, who never has stopped trying. I have researched and tried many different techniques of parenting and discipline. I keep up, usually weekly, with his teacher so we can be on the same page with disciplining him. You ask where did it all go wrong? I have had more sleepless nights trying to answer this question. Me and my husband, his father, have racked our brains, fallen apart, cried, heartbroken, wondering why. We came to the agreement that no matter what happens, we just choose to love him and never give up. Even when it seems like it does not help, when it's all said and done, I know I can live with that. I married a man who had been divorced. His kids were great. The little girl was smart and tough and the easiest kid to have in your life. The boy was an imaginative and smart kid who would bite, break things, scream for the police and cry for help as he beat your head in. His father tried for the next 15 years to get him help and the boy's mother wouldn't have it. The boy is 19. We've tried everything we couldn't and now he's an adult in the same situation. 10 years ago we had our first child together. A beautiful boy who loves everyone. Around 2 years old everything changed. I thought I was doing something wrong. We tried so many different things. The only thing that worked was holding him while he screamed, taking him out of situations that made him upset. We hesitated having more children, only momentarily. We had 2 more children, a boy and a girl who are quiet, respectful, silly children. Nothing like their 2 older brothers. Everything like their eldest sister. What did we do differently that made them turn out so completely opposite? Nothing. Obviously we raised them as individuals who had different needs, but we didn't totally throw in the towel on these children. 2 of our boys were born with severe mood disorders and autism. We love them and won't give up on them. We get a lot of crap from people who assume we are bad parents and have evil children. They aren't evil and they aren't bad kids. They try so hard to live within the rules of society and struggle so to control themselves. I don't make excuses for my family. They are who we are and we are in your society. We struggle every dang day to be acceptable to you folks who think we are horrid parents with evil children. Parent here, giving my 2 cents on this. It does no good to yell or make threats if there's no follow through or discipline. My kids knew when they were little if they misbehaved in a store they wouldn't be getting a treat or little toy. Good behavior should be rewarded, not the other way around. I have a sister, she has a son. I love them both dearly. They are horrible at existence. When one whines the other whines back. It has actually become hard to distinguish the two if you can't see them while they are whining. The boy gets everything he wants, not just from his mom but from everybody in the family, for he is the only one in his generation and has been for 10 years now. I have been guilty of spoiling him myself but have recently realized the error of my ways. The boy has not earned anything in his entire life. Again, I love him but he is a brat. I am going out to build him a tree fort for his 10th birthday, something I always wanted and never had as a kid, this next weekend, but have already decided that I will only be working on it so long as he is. I hope that I can avoid being the evil uncle while also making this kid realize that the world isn't always going to hand him everything when he whines for it. Wish me luck. Well, this will be buried, but here goes. First, I am not a parent. I am the oldest half-brother to my dad's 4 kids. 2 brothers, 2 sisters. I am 30. B1 is 24. S1 is 23. B2 is 21 and S2 is 19. My dad and his now ex-wife fought for as long as I can remember, and she and I always were at odds because I was always stirring crap up. As an adult I feel her pain and I would have beat my butt a lot more often. I spent the weekends there a lot until I was 14. I wanted to move in and my ma let me. At 14 I was smoking grass with my old man, and continued to do so until I was 20. I started getting my weed from my pops, and my brothers did years later. To make this too long story shorter, I blame the crap out of my dad. I have wised up now, but both of my brothers still smoke pot and one is a completely worthless frick. The other still makes questionable decisions, but I think he's finding his way. Neither of my sisters do drugs or drink now, but the oldest is disgustingly obese and the other is a complete Jesus freak. Literally attended a Jesus camp near Austin, and has been there for almost 2 years now. My dad has been the biggest failure to all of us that I could imagine a dad could be. He played every card here that you all talk about. More worried about being buddies than a dad. Never followed through with any disciplinary threats. Even if we fricked up, he would always try to quantify what we did right. Smoked pot with at least 4 of us, and did M and coke with me. My youngest sister was the only one to graduate HS. The oldest had her first baby senior year. The dream house we moved into is something straight out of nightmares now because it was never taken care of. I have never seen my dad work full time, though I have heard him talk about it. So here's the kicker. My old man was a rich kid. Grandpa has a ridiculous amount of money. I'll never know, but I know his boat was $4 million and he just sold his personal plane W pilot to trim down on expenses. Without GPA's money, none of this would have been possible. So it may as well have been the government. B2 still lives at home and has been getting $600 a month to go to college for the past 3 years. He's been to 2 semesters 2 years apart. He has never held a job for longer than a couple weeks, and he is a fat lazy frick who I refuse to speak with. This last holiday season I've essentially stopped speaking with my dad. My reason: there is no good end to how you are living. Whether it's jail, health complications, the house being condemned, whatever, I want no part in it. I haven't spoken with him for a couple months now and it's killing me. That little kid in me that was best friends with my dad still wants him in my life. The 30-year-old with a family does not want my kids to be exposed to his shenanigans. TLDR. My old man is a pothead, more concerned about the now than the future. The results are painfully displayed in his 4 kids. Sadly, psychopathy isn't preventable, but just say no to giving a kid an iPhone before the age of 10, or spoiling the crap out of them. My kids have been playing with my old iPhones since they were little. They take pictures and make the most adorable movies. If that's spoiled, then I will spoil them all day. My sister is a pretty terrible person. We were raised the same way, fairly open. I had absolutely no restrictions. I could have girls in my room. I had absolutely no curfew. My parents even thought I went to one of my friend's house to smoke pot and let me. We actually stayed up all night playing Halo in a cabin. So my eyes were red and I smelled like I tried to cover up any smell using fireplace smoke. She was 2 years older and had more restrictions placed on her due to her doing things like sneaking out and driving home drunk. They probably could have punished her more when we were children. She would always start the fights, and when we were left alone in the house she would sadistically attack me. She would pound on my door for hours, and since I didn't have a lock I needed to sit in front of it holding it shut. I don't really blame them though, as there was no way for them to know what I wouldn't have gave for a video recording device like every kid has now. Anyways, I think some people are just going to be bad people, and there's not much you can do about it. She genuinely takes pleasure in other people's pain. It's pretty ironic she became a nurse. My sister is horrible at home. My mother spoils her because she's her baby. She doesn't do her schoolwork. Homeschooled. My mom actually made me complete part of her tests online for her. I've told them I never will again, because she'll never learn. She has never cleaned a day in Get Life. We used to move every year or twice a year and she never touched one moving box, and can't even help my mom with dishes. My mom has health problems. Even when I was 8 months pregnant I had to clean her room for her so my mom wouldn't get mad. She gets to sleep all day, wake up to play the PS3, and sleep again. My mother won't listen when I say she needs public school. She's not learning anything, or discipline. She gets these horrible attitudes, which result in her getting what she wants. She even convinces my mom to spend well over $300 on PSN cards for her games. Right after she says no, I won't do the dishes. I was never allowed to do that or Monster Mom would come out. Now I was forced to grow up quick. I even helped raise my sister when we were younger. I was an emotional crutch for my mom, and my mom jokes about me being jealous, but honestly I just wish they would raise her better. She's never going to learn anything being treated like a princess. What kind of 13-year-old doesn't brush her own hair or know how to sweep? Sorry for the rant. This has just been bugging me for years, and my mom won't listen. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.